Today is July 25th, 2012, and we are interviewing Thomas Vielhak in the Armory in Bloomington, Illinois. You go by Tom or Thomas?
Tom.
Tom is how old?
How
How old are you?
64.
64 years old. When were you born?
8/20/47.
Okay.
Next month.
Next month. That's right.
65.
You'll be 65. Okay. Could you state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
Vietnam.
Okay. And what was your rank?
U.S. Army Sergeant E5. Specialist B5, I guess.
Okay.
Same rank.
Okay. And you're a disabled veteran, so we're going. If you want to talk about that right away, we can talk about. I know on this form you put down what medals you were awarded, but would you like to go over that again and let us know? Just a couple of those.
Well, it was Good Conduct Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, which is 2 of them. What I say there, still can't remember that. It's a Commendation Medal. I think that's what it's called. There's been a couple battalion awards. I got one in Germany and I got one in Vietnam for the battalion. So that's 2 little red things with stars on them, Eagle Oaks or whatever it is. Let's see. I got an operator's medal for being an operator's, crane operator mainly. 62 F30 was my MOS. And I got into a lot of extra stuff down there besides that. I run shotgun and all kinds of stuff besides doing that. And let's see, I got expert medal for shooting. I know there's a couple more in there that I can't remember what they are now. There's a Good Conduct Medal.
You're okay. If they come to you,
Yeah.
you can shout them out.
I got a whole great big box of them.
So you saw combat.
Oh, National Service Medal.
National Service. Okay.
That's one.
All right. So if you don't mind sharing your experience of any injuries or anything that were you sustained during the conflict.
Well, I got into Agent Orange is what happened. And they used to spray the whole village, the whole base was Agent Orange to keep the bugs down every night. And of course, I got out in the field too, and it was all sprayed out there. I got come back. I had diabetes. I had to have a heart transplant.
Oh my! That
was 20 years later because it just sat there and just festered.
Right.
I guess I don't know. After that, it's been pretty rough. After the medicine, VA's helped me with that quite a bit. I went down to Vietnam in 1967, 68. It was 67 from Germany. I was stationed over in Germany first after I got out of the AIT from Fort Leonard. They sent me over to Germany to an engineering unit. It was the 74th Engineer Battalion then. And I was there for about 2 months. I was supposed to have an 18-month tour there. I was there 2 months. They sent me down to Africa, Libya, Tripoli actually, to a Wheelus Air Base. And we was making bases, putting pads down for the people working on oil wells and stuff down there, civilians. And we was right on the beaches of the Mediterranean. And I was loading. I had a backhoe at that time. It was an old Lima backhoe. One of these things that you do this. Not even the simple ones now. All hydraulic. It was all cable. We dug a hole. We was digging a hole one time. We happened to dig a hole up, and there was something metal down there about that big around. We didn't know what it was. This guy was with me. Just started beating on it to get it out.
Right.
It turned out to be a 5-inch live shell from World War II.
Oh my goodness!
We called the Air Force. They came and got it, went out in the ocean, blew it up.
I bet. I bet. Oh my goodness!
This guy hit the thing, hit the side of it. I'm glad it was dead. It was done.
Wow.
It was about that long. It was done some damage. 5-inch shell.
It certainly would have. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we was down there at TDY, just one battalion. And when they had that 67 war with Israel or Egypt and Israel got into it, we was in the middle of it. Because they blew up all our ammo dump down there, outside the base, which where they had it. The Wheelus Air Base then. And they left us there with the APs. Everybody else left with one plane left for us. What we had to do was guard the main gate because they started storming the main gate. What we did was take a fire truck, fill it up with pig fat, and sprayed the whole area. And with their religion, they can't get pork or any fat like that on them. They can't even touch the ground with it. So they cleared out.
Right.
That's what they ought to do right now over there where they're at now in Iraq. You spray the whole town. They'd all clear out. It'd be done right there.
Right, exactly.
And then we got out of there, went back to Ramstein Air Base. I got back to Germany for about 2 months. I put in for Vietnam. I volunteered for Vietnam. They told me I was crazy, but I was doing it anyway. I went there. I got 45 days. On the books, I was supposed to have 45-day leave. I got home for 30 days, and they called me back. I had orders to get there right away in 1968, in February 1968. And as soon as we got to San Francisco, we was in quarantine for probably 2 weeks. I think it was at least 2 weeks. I mean, there was about 1,000 guys in that big warehouse waiting to go. Some of them went by ship, some of them went by plane. Anyway, we had to just wait in there, 3 beds high. And once we got there, we got our orders to go. We got on one of the old 727s, I guess it was, 4-inch jets. It was a max plane, military plane though. And we took off. I get airsick real easy. Yeah, I don't like flying anyway.
That's why you were in the Army.
Yeah. Well, we've seen Germany a lot of times back with Deuce-Nab. I'd done basic training for Polk for Louisiana. That was 8 weeks then, or 12 weeks. That's what it was. I went to Ulm, Germany. That's right, to Germany. And then after I got to Germany, back to Ulm, they put me on about 2 months. It was about a month later, I guess. They transferred me out to Vietnam. I had a little 30-day leave. I went home for 30 days. New orders. That was on New Year's Eve. The next day or 2 days later, I had to go to Vietnam. I got there in 1968, February 2nd, 1968, when I got there. And when we landed at Benoit Air Base, which was down there by Long Binh, we was in an area, they were having a rocket attack at the same time we landed. We landed all over the side of the base there. You talk about scared puppy.
Oh, yeah.
Never been in something like that before. Got acquainted with it real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And they put us in a bus with wires, steel wires on the thing so nobody could throw grenades in at it and bounce off. And we had to change all our military stuff, all our civilian stuff, money included, to their military script. Everything we had, dollar bills, everything. And then we sat there in the reception center at Long Binh for, I'd say, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. It was about a week and a half, I guess it was. Filling sandbags. Then the first night we was there, or the second night, they had a ground attack right on the base, and we was about probably 300 yards from the main gate anyway. There was a restaurant right in front of the main mess hall was right there. They had one guy with 145 guarding us because we didn't have a gun yet.
Oh my!
And we was saying to him, as soon as we have an attack, you got 7 rounds in that 45, and there's 10 of us in this tent. What are you gonna do? Run? They take him out first, then we'd be dead puppies. Anyway, they didn't break in. They stopped them before they got in. Then pretty soon we got orders to get on a helicopter right away. So we got orders to get there. I went to Cu Chi Army Base in Vietnam, which where they had was the 25th Infantry Battalion was there, and so was my 554th and 68th Engineer Battalion. 18th Brigade and 20th Brigade was there. That wasn't the headquarters, that was just a branch of it. And then we found out later that Cu Chi had them tunnels all underneath of us. They had a whole brigade of VC right underneath our feet in tunnels. They had, Bob Oak was down there one time. I had duty, but I didn't get to see him. But they had sound stages down there and everything underneath the ground, like 20 feet down, 30 feet or whatever. I don't know, it was deep. And they had hospitals down there for the VC,
Uh-huh.
and they come up out of the ground one time, just had an attack just before I left. But I was out in the field quite a bit. They use my crane a lot of times. They tell me to go out and get doing on a job.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd use me to go out in the road with nobody out there yet. Infantry hadn't been out there yet. I'd go out there by myself, me and my shotgun. I had a shot guy in back with M79 and an M16. I had an M16 in front. We went out there, and we didn't know where we was at, what we was doing supposed to.
Right.
They wouldn't tell me. I got out there and stopped. There was dead bodies laying all along the road there. And, well, we got out there, and 2 hours later, here come the infantry with their minesweepers.
Oh.
Yeah, what are you doing out here now? Well, hell, I've been out here for 2 hours. Where you been?
Really?
They was watching. They could have had me anytime they wanted me,
Right.
because they was waiting for somebody else to come so they could get more of them.
Mm-hmm.
But they left me alone for some reason. I don't know why, but they did. This wasn't my number, I guess.
Right. Right.
Then we transferred up to Dao Tang, which was about 5 miles out of Cambodia. And they blew up. We were supposed to build a bridge up there. They just blew up a bridge a week before that, or 2 weeks before. So the Army laid out a pontoon bridge. I had this big 20-ton crane go across the pontoon. Of course, the pontoon sank, but it still kept going. It was underwater, but we still kept driving. And we went out there. I stayed there for about it was about 3 months, I think, or 4 months. We was building that bridge. We got it built. We went out there during one night. We drive the plow. We got into attack. Because I had lights all around me. We were working at night. And these VC would come up just from attack from this town. The village was right there next to the base. And they would attack the people working at the river. And we was pinned down for 6 hours that night, fighting back and forth, shooting back and forth. I had one night, that same night, there was a water buffalo down there by the river in a bunch of bushes shaking, trying to get a drink of water.
Uh-huh.
That was buffalo meat that time. Night. He got blown up. And there was another stupid VC. He kept in a hole just across the river, about 100 yards on the other side of the river, out in plain sight. He had candle he had or something. I don't know what he had. But anyway, he came up, he'd shoot, and he'd go back down. Oh. He came up, shoot, and then go back down. He'd shoot a burst of machine gun fire. I had a burst miss me about that much because it came up over the crane like this. I was sitting here, and the burst came here, and went up over here, and then back down here. Just about 2 inches from my head.
Oh, my God.
So I got out of that crane real quick. I had to go
yeah.
back up there and shut the lights off. Then I jumped back down. Of course, this one guy had M16 and wouldn't fire. He just flew apart, broke on him. So he just took it to the dang river right there. It just flew apart on him.
Yeah, yeah.
Pin broke and everything just flew apart. Anyway, we got pinned down there for 6 hours and got back to base. And that's when the rocket started hitting. The EM club hit the EM club right next to our booths or tent. We had tents there. When that rocket hit, there were two of us headed for the door. We heard the whistle coming in. We got to the door. As soon as that hit, all we seen was sparks and stars. Because the booth back about 10 feet into the thing. And I don't know, Agent Orange, they had firefights every night going through the rubber plantation that we had to go through. Found out there was a regiment of VC in that thing. There's a mountain I called it Black Virgin Mountain. It's up there by Tane Inn. It's the only mountain in the whole area. We had the top and the bottom, but they had the middle.
That's so good.
And they were shooting out there all night with just bullets flying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Tanks were shooting and back up. And I was on a battalion coming back to base. I was in a car, I can't think, convoy. We haven't headed this long.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
It's in a convoy. The crane only travels out there on them roads about maybe 10 miles an hour at the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there was two of us on the crane. And I started out with the convoy. I stayed with them for about till we got over the bridge that we just built. And about a mile past that, then they took off and left me. They floored it. And there I was sitting back there by myself, going through this rubber plantation by myself. And it was probably 3 or 4 miles long, going through the road like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I come up on a tank that was sitting there, garden area. And he stopped and asked me, "What are you doing out here by yourself? There's VC all over this place." He said, "Well, I know that, but I couldn't stop and I couldn't go back."
That's right.
So he took me back to his tank base, fire base that he had. They had base set up. I stayed there for 3 days, trying to catch another convoy to get back to where I was supposed to go.
Right.
I finally caught one for a while, for a mile, and they took off and left me again. There I was by myself again. I went to a town called Godaha. It's down the road 10, 15 miles, I guess. I was all by myself again. And I stopped there, had to park the crane in the middle of the town, locked everything up. Next morning I go out, there were grenades tied to the conical rollers of the crane in case I forget to check it, and they get up and start swinging around, it'd blow up. So I got all that out. We stayed there in a camp with the CIA, little black ops outfit.
Wow.
I was there for about 3 days or 4 days. And then we finally caught another convoy coming our way. And I got down to Trang Bang, which was just outside of another fire base. But the Trang Bang happened to be a base for Fiji. And my crane started having trouble right about the time I got there. I made it through to town. I got to the base. I come in there and I said I couldn't go no further. I got to work on the crane. They put me in there for another 3 days. They had ground attack that night. Of course, we was in the bunker.
Right. Water if you want.
We was in the bunker. We scared puppies. We only had 5 days left in service anyway at that time. And by the time I got a convoy back headed my way again, I got back about halfway, and here come a Jeep, a military Jeep, MP. He met me about halfway between Trang Bang and Cu Chi. They asked me, "What the hell are you doing out here by yourself? There's VC all around us. There's a rubber plantation on this side, and they shoot in there every day." I got caught in the middle of a firefight one time and ran out of fuel because the fuel gauge was empty. It said full, but it was empty. The guy that had it before me didn't fill it up.
Oh my gosh.
And there I was sitting behind. There was infantry on this side, VC on this side, and here I was right here in the middle. I hid behind the wheels. We got to checking the crane out and said, "Look, when that valve for the tank, it was pure empty." Anyway, I got the fuel. We got back to the middle of the road again. Here come this MP Jeep. And that's just what we're doing out there by ourselves. And I go, "Oh, it's time to get to Cu Chi." And he says, "I'll stay with you, but I'm going to call a helicopter in to take high cover." So you can get back to base at least. We finally got back there, and I was listed 5 days overdue. Been missing in action actually for 5 days. They couldn't find me. They didn't know where I was at. I come rolling in about 7 o'clock at night down there. Because they didn't have no muffler on the crane. You could hear that thing coming about 2 miles away. At 754 engine, I think it was diesel. It was a big jet pipe on like that. I come rolling in, the guys in my squad, they heard me coming 2 miles away. Right. They said, "That's me coming in." They come out there and met me. And I had to park the crane for a while and get that fixed again. Because I was the only crane running at the time, the whole base. It was all deadline. The line was deadline too, but they kept me running for some reason. Army Commendation Medal, that's what that was.
Okay. Okay, go
ahead. There's different branches, different medals for different branches, I guess. Okay. And they put me in a motor pool and paintbrush after that. for about 5 days or so. Let's see what else. Shotgun convoys, makeshift. We started volunteering for stuff we didn't have to do, like crazy stuff, like had dirt filled in the back of big 5-ton dumps. When convoys go out, we'd have to make a little foxhole in the dirt in the back of the truck. When convoys go out, we'd stay in there with shotguns going to the areas until the convoy got back, then we come back with them. We started volunteering for stuff like that. Just dumb crap. Anybody to right mind would after you're over there a few days or a couple of weeks, you just don't care anymore.
Yeah. Want to be busy.
So I got back there and they finally let me out 5 months early because enlistment and everything. They had the deal going 5 months early, so let me out 5 months early.
Mm-hmm.
I got back to that night after I left Pucci. They had a bad ground attack. Guys came up onto the floor or the ground. They killed a lot of my buddies because they headed for the bunker. They shot them as they come out the door. I threw grenades down in the bunkers and blew them all up. But I had just left it when they had that afternoon, and they had it that evening. I remember I got drunk one time down there after I came back. It was on Christmas, I think. I got blasted. I don't drink, but I drink whiskey and Coke. I sat down in the EM Club. It was nice, air conditioned. I got up. I got to the door, and I don't remember too much after that. I started walking. I know I fell down a couple times, but I got to our hooch in Coochie. I just went out and laid down, face down on the sandbags, hoping somebody would come along and shoot me, put me out of my misery. It was pouring down rain anyway.
Uh-huh.
I just hoped somebody would shoot me, put me out of my misery, because I was sick. The next day, I had to go down to take the crane down to an area where they were making asphalt. And I had to pick up sand and gravel over here and dump it over here all the time like this. And with a bad hangover, you're going back and forth like this and up and down like this. I do about 2 times, go back of the crane, throw up, and then go back and do it again.
So did you get along with? I mean, it sounds like you spent a lot of time by yourself, but did you get along with your fellow guys and all the officers?
Yeah, I got along. The one guy that I got along with real good was the colonel, the base commander. Mm-hmm. I got along with him real good. Now that XO didn't hate. He hated my guts. He was going to court martial. But as soon as he come up to the XO, that XO came to the commander. The commander said, "You said leave him alone now. Leave him alone." So he did.
Yeah. So I can understand. You obviously felt this as. Did you feel pressure or stress and anxiety? I don't know how you couldn't have not felt.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of pressure there, and I was.
Because every night.
Oh yeah, every night there was something going on. They had a rock attack every night. About 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock, maybe sometimes earlier, sometimes later. Every morning at least.
Right.
They'd shoot down the road, and we just couldn't get no rest. I finally got back from when I did get back from Daotang. I was in the hooch. I got back the next morning. He told me to sleep in, and their boss didn't know who it was. We had some new guys in there. Oh, hey, who's full of new guys? They didn't know who it was. The only thing they knew is I was a sergeant. Uh-huh. That was the highest rank one in the hooch. Uh-huh. I didn't know any of them. They came in and I was sleeping in the doorway there. Said, "What are you doing here?" I was trying to sleep.
Yeah, really?
The guy came in and said, "Leave him alone. He'll be back on duty next tomorrow."
Get some time to sleep. So can you tell me a couple? I know you've shared a lot of your experiences. Are there any other experiences you want to?
Let's see here. It's about,
because you sound like you had some really harrowing kind of.
Yeah, we got in firefights all the time. Even as engineers, we get firefights. We were usually right in the middle of them. He's fighting and shooting at us and them too.
Right.
Because we was working with engineers. One died. We had 2 cranes I was in charge of. The one that I had was allowed. The only one was operating. The other one was operating halfway. The other operator I had on there, he went out to right outside of a village down from Coochie a ways, which was a VC stronghold. And the crane, the engine quit on the carrier. And when that thing quits, you don't have no steering because they got wheels on there, great big wheels like this on there, 4 of them. It's called an RT crane, rough terrain crane, and it's an individual suspension. But when that engine stops, you don't steer it; it just goes.
Right.
And when that had the engine running the train there too, and when it went went off the ditch and flipped over, and the engine went wild on the diesel, on the crane. And the officer said, the captain out there at that time, said, "Get in there and shut that thing off." I said, "Well, you can't shut that off. It's running wild. You can't get anywhere near it." Mm-hmm. It finally, I think it blew up. It didn't do nothing. It wouldn't do anything like that. It just blew. Mm-hmm. Blew it in. And I had to go out there that night we had one tank, was a 20 and 40 millimeter tank going out there. We had 2 infantry squads go out there with us. And we had a crane retriever, tank retriever went out with us. And I had my crane out there. And we could smell the VC all around us. Mm-hmm. We was working out there, but they was, you know, they was spread out all around us. A tank retriever had one end, and I picked up the other end and set it up right. The tank retriever pulled it in because they pull in tanks all the time. I had to pull that thing in. And we got back to, we started heading back, and we had to go blackout because there was a VC in that building. It was covered. But we got through without any trouble because I guess they thought that we was too many for them. So we got through there, no lights, just kind of drove slow. And we had a lot of kids down there would take a grenade and throw it right in the middle of people. They could beg for food. You give them food, and they throw something, throw a grenade back at you. Little kids, about 5, 6 years old, they'd do that. And just enough just to kill the guy. That's all they wanted to do. That's what they were taught from day one.
Did you have any good luck? Anything you carried for good luck or any kind of memento from?
I can't remember anything I did. I might have had something. I don't know. I might have had something. I can't remember. I don't think I did. I had good luck.
Yeah, it sounds like you did. It certainly does.
Wasn't my number for sure.
That's right. That's right.
I was standing that time they had that burst on Doc Yang. There was a guy standing right next to me. I was standing right near you. He got hit. It missed me because glanced off the crane, hit him, not me, because I was standing right beside him. Well, he wouldn't have been there, I'd have been hit. That wasn't my number was up there.
Right. Right.
It was close, but wasn't up.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you were on R&R, how did you interchange? Like you said, Bob Hope came, but you didn't get to see him.
That was on base. I had duty that night, CQ duty that night. But we went. I took an R&R. I was ordered.
That one night you got drunk, right?
Yeah, I was ordered to take an R&R to Vong Tau. That was the military at the time, military R&R center. That was on the South China Sea. That was pretty nice down there. They had everything set up for GIs, movies and stuff like that. But I don't know if I can tell you this, but they had a lot of girls down there.
Well,
too.
why not?
Of course, we was in that hotel. And of course, they raided it. We had to hide underneath the beds, all the GIs in there, scrambling around, hiding under the bed, leaving the doors quick, running. Well, they didn't catch me. They caught a couple guys down the other side. I did quiet. The girls left. They didn't look too good because they knew what was going on.
Right, right.
Anyway, we got back out there. I had 3 days down there. That was kind of weird.
Okay, see if I have anything else. Okay. And you have the date when your service ended, right?
Yeah.
Do you recall that day?
1974. February 2nd, 1974. But I left Vietnam on February 2nd, 1969. I remember that.
So after you left Vietnam, what did you do?
Well, I came home finally. I got home finally after I got sick going from Vietnam to Travis Air Base. I got sick all the way through there. I was throwing up. I couldn't stop. I just dry heaves. Once I landed, I got my feet on the ground. I was all right. But after that, I came home. I got a job. I stayed unemployed for about a year because I had to get a rest. I had to get away from things.
Right.
I got drawed unemployment for a while. Then I got a job working as a crane oiler, which was assistant to the crane operator. Make the machine run, make sure it stays running there, and help him work on it. I worked on that for a couple of years. Then this black and white thing, then NAACP came down on the operators union, and they had to hire a bunch of blacks instead of the whites were in there. They had to get rid of them and hire them. So it was one of them that got furloughed permanently. After that, what did I do after that? I was unemployed for a while there after that. And I went to, I got a job working at Brokaw Hospital. April 20th, 1970, I think it was. I got home in 69. I took a year absence. I worked on the operators union. I worked there before I went to Vietnam. That's why I got the job back. I forgot about that. Anyway, I went to work in Vietnam, or Brokaw Hospital in 1970, April 20th. And I stayed there for 14 years. I was being an electrician, part-time electrician, mostly a plumber. Then I got transferred to this boiler room with a stationary engineer. I had to get licensed for that. 2 big boilers. I had to work on all the air conditioning stuff then. I stayed there till I got hurt on the job in 1983. My back had broken. One of them L5 cushions in there. and that put me I couldn't get back to work because he said, "Come back to work or you're fired." You know,
Right.
I couldn't get back to work because the doctor wouldn't let me. So I lost that job. Then I worked a little bit here and there for my brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
He was at his own contractor. He was a contractor, so he worked a little bit. I worked a little bit with him here and there. And I had this problem here propped up with the heart.
Mm-hmm. I
took tests down there. They run me through 3 days of tests. After 20 years, that thing started copping up. In 1994, 1993 is when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I came down the steps one night. My wife said, "Your lips were blue." I said, "What? Your lips are blue." I didn't feel very good, but I didn't know that. And I went to the hospital right away.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the doctor in the emergency room gave me the wrong stuff. He gave me a whole, that's the last thing you want to do is give me a whole bottle of sugar water instead of saline. And the doctor raged heck about that. And I went to see the doctor the next day, my doctor, and he found that the heart had some kind of liquid pressing against it on both sides. He says, "You got to have a transplant. I'm sending you down to Champaign or Illinois to get checked out." I got down there and they did a cath, and heart was only working 7% out of 75% or 80 out of 90%. The heart only works about 85% efficient anyway. But I was down to 7%. I was walking dead man, didn't even know it. It could have happened any time, but I waited 7 months. It went on like that for about 7 months, going back and forth to St. Louis all the time, Barnes Hospital. And one night they called me about 11 o'clock. I had set up a plane to get down there right away. I got down there about 11 o'clock that night. They called me and says, "Get down there right away." So I got to the plane, the airport. The pilot forgot to fill up the plane again. Naturally, my luck. So that wasted an hour right there.
Right.
And I finally took off and got down there. It was sleeting. I got down there to St. Louis airport. I finally didn't have nobody waiting for me. I didn't know I was coming yet. And they finally got a cab. Or one of the guys down there that worked there told me, "Just take me to the hospital." I don't care who does it. Just take me to the hospital.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Get me in there, and I got up there. They put me in bed right away. Give me cyclosporin, which I threw up because my system didn't like it. They had no idea. I got there at about 2:30, and they had me on the table at 6 o'clock that morning. And of course, when they first started administering all that stuff, they put a mask on me. I threw up all over the nurse because of all that medicine. They give me chocolate milk, cyclosporin, and I don't know what else. Shots they give me, whatever it was. I stayed there for 7 days. I got through that for 5 hours. It was a 5-hour surgery. I got through that, and he put me in ICU. I had my hands tied when I woke up. I couldn't move either way. I had big holes about that big around down my throat, breathing for me. So I just forced myself to take half breaths instead of full breaths. And after 7, I was in there ICU for about 4 days. Then I went to the room, and I was in there for 7 days, which was pretty short considered. Because the rest of the guys that had the same thing, they was in there they smoked and drank. I didn't drink or smoke, so it helped me.
Right.
I got out of there. My wife came in that one morning. Of course, the ICU was empty. My bed was empty. She said, "What happened to him?" "Oh, he got transferred to the room. Nobody told you?" She probably had a heart attack.
Yes.
I was in there for 7 days. Then I had to go to the lodge, which they had down the street from Barnes. I'd stay there for 30 days, checking me every day, going back and forth to the hospital. They let me go, finally. I got back home. I had to go back down there every 2 weeks to get checked. It went up to 1 month, every month. Then went up to every 2 months, then every 3 months, and 6 months. Then finally got up to a year. I had 75% chance of living 5 years. And I beat that, went down 5 years. They checked me out and said, "Well, you were still doing fine." But the heart was upside down. It was irregular. It was having an irregular heartbeat. I still got one. And it's flipping back and forth right now into detector, what do you call it? I had an AFib here in March. And now it's doing AFib in and out. And there's another word, that long word, starts with a T. I was thinking tetracycline. That's not it. I can't think of what it's doing anyways. It's flopping around like a fish.
So did you make any friends in the service that you
Yes,
still
I did.
have and you keep
Yes,
in
I
touch?
did, but I
kept
can't
in touch
remember who
with?
they were.
So you couldn't keep too much in touch with them after
No,
the.
I went to the reunion one time. I couldn't remember because they changed so much.
Right.
I couldn't remember who they were. I did find one guy that was in the basic with me. He was over in Vietnam at the same time in AIT with me. And we kind of hooked up there together for a while, for 3 days, a couple days anyway. That was a surprise to me because I didn't think he was anywhere around either. He had the funny thing happened that the drill sergeant was down there at basic at Fort Polk. He was a sergeant then, but he was over there in Germany at the same time I was, in the same unit that I was as a corporal or a private. I don't know which he was. He was a pretty nice guy though. And if he would have been that one Japanese guy, we'd have been in trouble. He'd been in trouble.
Right.
Okay. I hated his guts.
So how would you say that the service has affected your life?
It made me grow up quite a bit, real fast.
What age were you when you went in?
19. I turned 21 down in Vietnam, I think. I was one of the older ones there.
Right, right.
And it really changed my life altogether. I was real kind of vain about everything before I went in there. It turned out I didn't stick around people. I didn't hang around anybody. And every time I had a storm, lightning come, I'd crawl into bed. Thunder come or whatever, you know. I was real shaky. Anybody wake me up, they'd have to wake me up from a distance because I'd come up fighting, you know. Anyway, I still suffered from that, but not bad anymore.
Right.
I had to go see a psychiatrist, and they said, well, nothing wrong with me seriously, because I guess I've been talking about it. Got it off my mind a little bit.
Right.
So that's about it, really.
Does your military experience influence how you think about war and the military in general?
Well, I still think about what we're doing right now. The guys in Vietnam and the guys over in Iraq are going through the same thing that we did. The government's giving them a bunch of crap, just like they give us. They're not giving them the right treatment. When they say they got treatment, when they say they got an illness, they're not going to believe them. And they just got to go through this whole rigmarole all over again. And that's what's happening to them. And about 20 years from now, if we're still around, they'll be coming back to the VA. Some of them won't even know about the VA or VA medical or any of the benefits they got. And I'm with the DAV right now, Disabled Veterans of America, hired to FW in Chapter 60. And that's helped me quite a bit because finding out what benefits they have available. And that's helped me with my claims I put in. They look at the DAV file first before they look at the other ones. It's a little bit shorter file anyway. And I finally made it to 100 after 19. I finally made it to 100% this year, or last year. It was last year. I started out with 10% for ear hearing because the big guns going off messed my hearing up a little bit more. And had blood come out of my nose one time. I was sitting there down below on a fire base, a trank bank. I was trying to get started, get going. That damn big 155s up above me, a big stand shooting up like this. When they went off, they got a concussion. You wouldn't believe. They knocked my helmet off and gave me a bloody nose. And I finally got the crank going, but I couldn't hear nothing for a while.
Right. Right.
I finally got going out there.
So is there anything else you want to share with us? If you told us everything that you want to tell us,
Yeah,
is there anything
much.
else you want to add? Anything else you want to say? We appreciate you coming in, so we just want to make sure we get everything you want to say out.
I don't know what I can say, but I know it's changed my life quite a bit when I went in from when I came out. I wasn't so naive then as I was when I came out.
Right, exactly.
It made me grow up real quick because I didn't have no teenage years really to mess with because I just got out of school.
Right.
Messed with. Next year later, I was in the Army. And, I had to grow up fast. And I was 24, I think, when I got out, something like that. And I didn't have no life after that. I was too jumpy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had to stay alone by myself and just keep off and wait people. That's about all I had to do. About all I did, really. Went hunting, tried to fish, get out of the way, get in the woods. The only place I can relax is really in the woods, deep woods where I can relax. I had a lot of friends of mine who went to Idaho and Washington State, get up in the mountains and stay there, be a hermit. I got married in 1972, I think it was. That pretty much stopped me from doing that.
Right, that's right. She'll stop you from doing that. So.
And we had one son,
Uh-huh.
1974. And he was born pretty healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He got diabetes now too. I think that came from me, from Agent Orange.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where he got it, because my wife had it too.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, I think I got her too. The birth defects maybe, because he had learning disability when he first started out. He's overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
But they blame him for it, just the same. And he's having a hard time finding a job. Impossible to find a job around here.
Right.
And he's got 3 kids to raise. His wife took off and left him, said, "You don't want the kids no more." 3 babies, 4, 5, and 6. Now, there was 2, 3, and 4. Or 1, no. Well, there were 2, 3, and it was 2, 3, and 4 then, I think. Maybe it was younger than that. Maybe 1, 2, and 3. I think that's what it was. Anyway, she stood right in front and said, "I don't want you no more." And that broke her heart real bad.
Well, we appreciate you coming in today. If you don't have anything else to say, we're going to have to move on to another person. But we really greatly appreciate you coming in and sharing your story with us today.
I don't know if much of a story you can use.
Oh, all stories, they're all important stories. I would not.
You got to edit a lot of that.
We'll have to wait and see. But we do appreciate you coming in. We do appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I take this water?